Warning. This short presentation will expose the untold and real story, explaining in explicit detail how the United States is headed for a complete and utter societal collapse within the next 12 months. The countdown has already begun for the inevitable collapse of our society as we know it. Due to the sensitive information that will be revealed over the course of the next few minutes, this presentation may be taken down by either the CIA, FBI, or the NSA. That's why you need to watch this presentation today. You'll see undeniable warning signs that will prove beyond any reasonable doubt that we're on the verge of a total social and economic meltdown. And it's a secret the government and their agencies don't want you to know. Due to the extreme sensitive information presented, this video will only be online until we reach our predetermined limit of 500 candidates. Once this quota has been reached, this page has been electronically programmed to remove itself. Unfortunately, most Americans don't understand the significance of these warning signs. Each warning sign by itself doesn't appear to have a lot of meaning, but taken together, they present a very dire picture of where this country is soon headed. At this point, it's unavoidable. We've gone past the tipping point. All we can do now is watch and prepare for what comes next. Will you be left standing to rebuild this great nation, or will you be one of the countless millions lost in the chaos? I'm Ronald Richards, and I'm a survivalist expert and a retired economist. In this short presentation, I'm going to prove to you that we're already experiencing countless warning signs on a daily basis, indicating that a total societal collapse is near. In addition to proving this, I'll also reveal to you a guaranteed survival preparation plan that will not only allow you to survive, but give you the tools needed to thrive. Within 24 hours, you'll be able to equip yourself and your family with all the tools, resources, and reserves required to survive any disaster, whether man-made or otherwise. Guaranteed. The best thing is, you can start tonight. The clock is ticking, and we're only months away from a total societal meltdown. Threats are coming from every single facet of society. Domestically, there's an underlying weakness of the U.S. dollar against other world currencies. For example, the U.S. dollar has declined more than 54% against the euro in the decade beginning 2002 through 2012. Statistics from the White House have reported that the national debt has ballooned over $12.7 trillion. Most of it owed to foreign nations such as China, who we do not have very friendly political relationships with. There are now also alternatives to the once mighty U.S. dollar, such as the new world currency, Bitcoin. If the weakening dollar were the only problem we face, perhaps we could survive that, except that it isn't. Increasingly, we're living in a police state and not even realizing it. The Department of Defense sells military-grade vehicles to local police forces around the country. You heard that correctly. Police forces in the U.S. are becoming increasingly militarized against their own civilian citizens who are not soldiers. Even worse, government-sponsored drones now fly across the skies, monitoring fellow Americans for supposed terrorist threats. In fact, there will be thousands within a few years patrolling our skies for our own protection, according to the government. Our private liberties and freedoms are being eroded each and every day. The right to freedom of speech is a thing of the past. Everything is now being recorded by Big Brother. Your online discussions, your phone calls, your emails, your Facebook posts, literally everything you say is being scrutinized. In fact, the NSA has been caught more than once spying on its own people. What's worse is that most of their efforts are actually to crush dissent and not catch terror, and all that's just to name a few of the issues we face domestically. On our borders, we're facing a massive immigration issue that looks and feels more like an invasion of our sovereign territory. Each and every day, hundreds of illegal aliens enter this country, creating and exasperating problems we're facing as a nation already, such as a lack of jobs and increasing the burden on our already overstretched medical system. Remember, that's hundreds a day on top of the existing 11 million undocumented immigrants already living in this nation. And what if just one of them carried a dirty bomb into a major American city? It would create complete and utter chaos, instantly shutting down our share market overnight. To make things even worse, we still have to deal with threats across the globe. The U.S. casualty rate for soldiers is now higher than ever, and it looks like we're only going to go up. This is because of international Islamic terror networks such as Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS, who are no longer only terrorizing U.S. targets in the Middle East, but are also actively recruiting homegrown jihadists on U.S. soil. Ever since 9/11, the Islamic terrorist problem to our great Christian nation has become worse, not better. During Bush's administration alone, there were 17 full terrorist attacks orchestrated by Muslim extremists, with a similar number throughout the Obama administration. That's more than 2 terrorist attacks each month, or 1 every 2 weeks. You tell me how many terrorist attacks you remember before September the 11th happening a month. Let's face it, as a fellow patriotic, God-fearing American, I hate to admit this, but the truth is America is on the verge of a total social and economic meltdown. It's only a matter of time before the government collapses upon itself. Are you prepared for days when there will no longer be a centralized government, a complete free-for-all where every man will fight for the bare necessities required to live? Think you can just pick up your cell phone and dial 911? Think again. Who will be manning the call centers to pick up your call when the police, ambulance, and firefighters themselves will now be hitting the streets looting for food and resources? What will you do when you see the military rolling in with tanks, not against a foreign invader, but pointing their cannon barrels at fellow Americans in order to illegally seize their property and stockpiles? What about the government, you might ask? The corrupt government officials and politicians have already prepared their evacuation plan. You think our president's going to stick around when our great nation descends into hell on earth? He'll be on the first private jets leaving this country to his foreign villas, watching from afar as the cities burn and the smoke rises. Who's going to save you when society as you know it is in total ruin and complete chaos? What are you going to do when a real modern-day apocalypse comes for you and your family? I hope you're prepared, because the clock keeps ticking, and it's a question of when and not if that this inevitably will occur. Are you and your family prepared for what's going to happen? I know I am. And to explain why, let me tell you about my embarrassing story that almost forced my family and I into death due to my lack of preparedness. My family has a small secluded cabin about 50 miles north of Jordan, Montana, and every year during school break, I take my family there for a getaway. We had backup power generators, water tanks, and water pumps just in case there was a problem with our main water supply. I also kept a large stockpile of canned food and MRE meals in both the basement and in our car just in case. As far as I was concerned, my family and I were prepared for anything. But was I wrong? Rain kept pouring and pouring. It'd been raining for 5 days straight and already cut off both the power and telecommunications before we arrived, and we could see the banks of the river starting to rise and swell. That night, we made a decision. As soon as it was light enough to drive, we headed back for home. My wife had just lit a burner to put on our pot of chili when we heard an enormous crash outside. I went to investigate, and what I found made my heart sink. A large tree had fallen across the only access road, and it fell on top of my four-wheel drive, causing it to be even more bogged down in the mud. I started to cut the tree with a chainsaw, but the driving rain slowed me down, so to speed things up, I asked my family to help clear the branches as I cut them. We'd been working for about 30 minutes when we heard an enormous explosion in the direction of the cabin. One look at the pillar of smoke and leaping flames told me everything I needed to know. The gas leaking from a pipe connected to the burner had built up to critical mass inside, and the open fire on the stove ignited it. If my family had been inside, they'd have been killed instantly. We were really in trouble now. No shelter, no transportation, most of our supplies gone. What's worse was that all cell phones and radios that we had were water damaged in the cabin and overflowing with rain. Out of desperation, my family and I attempted to trek through the dense bush in an attempt to save ourselves, but we only got lost. After a few hours, we started to lose hope as we were hopelessly lost in the cold wilderness. I honestly thought we were going to die that day. The only thing that saved me and my family was dumb luck. If it wasn't for my joke to my boss where I told him, I'm going to look for Yetis in our family cabin, we probably would be dead by now. Because after 5 days of entirely no communication from me, did he take my joke seriously and make some inquiries, as I had a deadline to meet that led to the dispatch of local bush rangers to search and rescue us. It took them a further day to track and locate us, then bring us back to their temporary shelter. Mike, who was the leader of the search party, set me down after rescuing us and told me something that changed my life forever. It's always the thing that you don't expect that'll kill you. And that night, over strong coffee, with a storm raging outside, my family sleeping in the shelter like a bunch of refugees, Mike took my disaster preparedness plan apart. He showed me point by point what I had done wrong, and showed me the preparations he made both inside and outside. That night and during the subsequent few nights, as we waited for the rain to stop and the river to subside, Mike spent hours telling me everything he knew about preparedness and survival. Right up front, he told me the 4 basic keys to survival in any situation. The 4 things you absolutely have to have covered, and the order to cover them in: fire, water, food, and shelter. In that order, every time. Fire was the first and most important thing. If you couldn't make fire, then you were restricted to only going out in the daytime. You couldn't cook any food you had, and you lost a key element in terms of keeping predators at bay. Water was next, and more important than food, because you can survive longer without food than you can without water. It's not enough to just have a supply either. You've got to know how long you can store it before it's no longer safe to drink, how to store it, and how to purify what you find. Then, of course, there's food. Most of my preparation nations had been around food, and it was actually third on the list of the most important things. Then finally, shelter. I learned the hard way that not having a backup plan where shelter was concerned, and all it takes is one moment of carelessness, and you're out in the freezing rain with no options. By the time I finally packed up my family and took them back home, I had some solid ideas about where I had gone wrong in my preparedness, but I was hungry for more. I kept in touch with Mike and took detailed notes about everything he told me, but it didn't stop there. I became obsessed. During the course of the next decade, I became an avid student and continued to learn, develop, and apply everything I learned in reality in preparation for every situation, whether it be hot, cold, urban, bush, emergency, or otherwise. You name it, I was prepared for it. Over the years, I was able to compile all my knowledge and crystallize the key components into a step-by-step, easy-to-follow complete survival course known as the Systematic Survival Battle Plan. The Systematic Survival Battle Plan contains literally everything I learned from Mike and everything I've learned since about survival. Everything is covered here. I leave no stone unturned because I know you're serious about keeping your family safe, well-fed, supplied, and most importantly, prepared for literally any situation, whether it be man-made or otherwise. Just apply one of the simple concepts, and you'll be able to easily live off the grid almost indefinitely. Let's face it, when society collapses around you, there won't be a grid to rely on. That's why I'm showing you what to expect in terms of life after the grid, and how to not just survive, but actually thrive off the grid. This knowledge is absolutely critical. The average American doesn't know that our current power grid is not only weak and overstretched, but it's actually on the verge of collapsing upon itself. Our country suffers from more blackouts than any other developed nation. Not only that, the number of disruptive power outages have increased steadily over the past decade, according to federal databases of the Department of Energy and the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. You think you can rely on our power grids when they're barely able to maintain themselves? Maybe, just maybe. But what happens when you factor in variables? Guess where a terrorist would want to strike first? To cause hundreds of thousands of homes to instantly lose power and cut most modern forms of electronic communication. That's why it's imperative that you know how to make your own power in a variety of different ways. And that's what I cover in detail in the Backyard Power Plant chapter. This way, not only will you be safe and secure, you'll also have most of the modern comforts you're used to. The best thing is, when you learn to live off the grid my way, it doesn't mean you have to give up the luxuries of life. It doesn't mean you need to be living in a cave or in a secluded underground bunker. The way I teach you allows you to still live in a nice place, drive any car you want, and have the power to easily sustain your lifestyle and have reservoirs of backup energy left in reserve, being generated from your own backyard. All you need to do is follow the simple steps that I lay out. You literally use the exact same steps, and you'll be able to prepare your family and your home for life after the grid starting tonight. Next, in the fail-proof fire fusion section, you'll learn how to generate fire in any situation, regardless of what the weather and climate's like at the time. Sure, other guides will talk about using a Zippo, which is fine in theory, but what are you going to do when you're not able to run down to the local store and pick up some more flints and butane? Not only will I show you 5 methods to ignite flames in any condition, I'm going to show you alternative cooking methods, both with and without the conventional cooking implements. How to carry and store that equipment in a convenient and hygienic manner. Delicious and easy off-grid cooking recipes that'll keep you and your family in peak physical condition, and more. In the instant storage stockpile section, I'm going to show you how to be self-sustainable, not just so that you'll last until further aid comes. Let me guide you step by step how to build, develop, and maintain a self-renewing stockpile. In this section, I'll show you how to stockpile on a shoestring budget, because I know that we all have families to feed already, so I'm going to show you how to do this for cheap. How to save thousands of dollars whilst actually getting more stockpiles at the same time. Where and how to stash your hoard in easily accessible yet conveniently safe locations. The essential items you must include. If you miss any of these, then you're increasing the chances of death by someone in your family by 300%. Items to avoid, because people think they need these things, but in reality they're just waste of time and money, and in some instances, dangerous. Also, in the event there's a need for medical assistance, I also have you covered in the Household Military Medic section. I break down in explicit detail about medicines and self-healing. You'll learn what to stock, how long you can expect them to last, and what not to bother with. It'll all be laid out in an easy-to-follow manner, so don't worry if you're not a brain surgeon. The average person thinks that starving or freezing to death is a bigger threat, but solving those is relatively easy compared to keeping infection and disease at bay. This section will give you the knowledge to transform any location you're at into an instant field medical facility. Next, in the Urban Survival System section, I'm going to unveil to you military tactics for surviving in the suburban jungle. Let's face it, most of us live in cities or towns, and only 16% of the entire population lives in rural areas. Chances are that when the shit hits the fan, you're going to be in an urban environment, and you're going to need an entirely different skill set to survive here than in a remote wilderness setting. It's common knowledge that in urban settings, you're going to have more varied resources to work with than you'd find in the middle of nowhere. However, don't let that fool you. The urban environment itself has other hidden dangers that can and will kill you if you're not prepared. That's why in the Urban Survival System section, I list out specific strategies that will guarantee the survival of you and your family. Just use any of these methods, and anyone not already a part of your camp would happily trade their entire stockpile of food and ammunition just to be given the opportunity to live with you. In the Bug Out Battle Plan section, I'll give you the rundown on what to do in the unlikely event you're forced to up and go. You'll learn to develop the most comprehensive and systematic bug out plan that's not only easy to follow, but has literally been field tested time and time again by dozens of survival veterans from a range of different sectors, including the military. Trust me, after implementing only 5% of what we show you, you'll be more prepared than most survivalists with 10 years worth of experience. And that's just the start of what we're going to show you here. In Modern Wilderness Warrior section, you'll be armed with the knowledge to transform into a complete self-sustaining one-man military unit. Simply follow the step-by-step instructions provided, and you'll learn how to create mobile shelters that act as both maneuverable protective fortresses ready to withstand any threat. They're also capable of producing sustenance. One look at the secrets inside this section, and even experienced American snipers will want to start documenting these strategies to include in their infield training. And we're still not done, because in the Household Homeland Security, we're going to show you how to transform your humble house into a Homeland Security Center. Let us show you the right way to create and maintain an impregnable perimeter for good. Here you'll learn military tactics that were never revealed to the public until now. Employing our techniques, we'll show you how to harden your key and then teach you an almost unethically deadly method to formulate your own safe room. After implementing what we show you here, if God forbid someone or somebody wants to mess with you, I absolutely guarantee they'll wish they'd picked on someone else instead. Once you've absorbed only 30% of what there is to learn in the Systematic Survival Battle Plan program, the possibilities are endless. You'll have everything you need, not to just survive in post-collapse America. You won't be just eking out a miserable, hard-scrabble existence. You'll actually be thriving. Collapse is coming. You know it, and I know it. The only question that really matters is, will you be ready for it when it happens? Or will you stand aside and watch your family perish when you know you could have prevented it? Don't let that happen. You probably think you've seen programs like this before. So did we. In fact, we bought and tested a good many of them after we'd laid the foundation of this book just to see if we'd missed anything. None of them were able to compete with a Systematic Survival Battle Plan. Not in the slightest. What we found was that in every case, what those other programs offer you is only a small taste of what you really want to know. They only offer a one-dimensional solution that would get you killed at best, and at worst get everyone in your care dead. If you wanted the complete picture, then you'd have to buy one program to learn about survival medicine. That would cost you $50 a piece. Then you'd need another program to learn about wilderness survival. That's another $50 at least. Yet another program to learn about urban survival, which will cost you probably another $50, and so on and so forth. But we're not going to do that to you. In fact, I've attended training camps and survival seminars where they teach you a tiny portion of what we reveal to you in Systematic Survival Battle Plan, and they ranged from anything between $500 to $2,500 a weekend. Sure, we could easily turn the materials in this book into a series of videos and conduct 3-day boot camps all across the country. If we did that, we'd probably charge $2,500 a seat. There are a lot of people with money who are concerned about their futures and the direction this country's headed in. We could sell tickets all day long at that price, but we're not going to do that, because that's not the point. No, what we want to do is educate and inform patriotic Americans so that when the end comes, there'll be more good people out there like us, with similar beliefs and values, who'll jump at the chance to get in there and do the hard work of rebuilding the country. And we want you to be one of those. We want you to join us. And we're not going to charge you thousands of dollars for the pleasure of working with you by our side. And because of this, I want to make sure that you're equipped with the skills and knowledge required to survive, so that you'll actually be around to build together. And to do this, I'm going to outright give you 7 high-quality and valuable bonuses along with the Systematic Survival Battle Plan. The first bonus you're going to receive is the complete Systematic Survival Battle Plan video course, worth $197. There are times when you want to learn a lot more and a lot faster by watching someone do something as opposed to reading about it. Unlike other courses out there, we're actually going to make sure you're able to implement what's shown in our guide by creating instructional tutorial videos for you to follow. The next bonus you're going to get is the Systematic Survival Battle Plan audio course, which is valued at $97. I know you're a busy person and you want to be able to consume all this knowledge on the go. That's why I'm providing you with this audio version of the guide so that you'll be able to listen to this anywhere you want, at the gym, whilst you're driving in the car, or anywhere else your heart desires. Next, I'm going to throw in Doomsday Self-Defense Tactics, valued at $77. You see, when the shit hits the fan, you want to be able to not only protect yourself, but your family too. We're going to show you methods of taking down assailants that even UFC fighters won't be able to defend against. We have hand-selected deadly techniques that are outright illegal if used in competition. So be warned, when you do unleash what we show you, prepare for your opponent to be permanently maimed at the very least. Next, you're going to learn all that you need to know about surviving in extreme cold conditions and the Frost Zone Freedom Fighter Special Report, valued at $67. Let us show you how to prepare for blistering cold conditions so that your home, your backyard, your pool, your cars come out perfectly unscathed. Using this, you'll almost be begging for an actual ice apocalypse to occur. Next, we're going to give you another special report worth $57 called the Heat Holocaust Survivor. In this concise and one-of-a-kind report, we'll show you how to manage and overcome any kind of heat-related condition. This includes heat cramps, heat exhaustions, and heat stroke. Once you apply the secrets revealed in this guide, you're going to have an uncanny extra human-like ability to survive and outlive anything the sun itself can throw at you. Now, if you're worried about your finances after the collapse, don't, because we've got that covered in a one-of-a-kind special report valued at $77 called the USD Dollar Domino Dominator. Let us walk you through the step-by-step strategies that not only allow you to financially survive a modern-day societal downfall, but come out with even more financial dominance after the disaster. Yes, you heard right. We're going to show you how to financially thrive and not just survive after an apocalyptic meltdown. This is not hype and 100% possible. Just let us show you how. Next, you'll discover a dirty little secret kept from the public by the multi-billion-dollar petroleum companies. In the exclusive and one-of-a-kind H2O hydrogen power special report valued at $177, we're going to show you how to run a normal car on nothing but water. Because the last thing you want to do in a post-apocalyptic society is fight for natural resources such as gas to power your vehicles. We're going to show you how to bypass that altogether and run your car on the world's most abundant resources that cover 70% of the Earth's surface: water. Finally, last but not least, we're going to throw in a report valued at $37 called Guaranteed Gas Savers. As the name suggests, you'll find out many ways in which you can reduce the need to rely on gas. We unequivocally pledge that you have not seen or heard of anything like this before, and after applying just one of the techniques, you're going to cut the need for gas energy by at least 70%. Now, adding up the total value of the bonuses alone, it'll be over $786. But as part of today's special package, you're going to receive all of them absolutely free. Now, on top of the $786 worth of bonuses, you're going to get the entire Systematic Survival Battle Plan that's worth over $2,500 by itself. In total, the entire Systematic Survival Battle Plan package, including the bonuses, is valued at $3,286. But I do know that if I tried to sell at this price, it would be well out of the reach of the average individual, and I don't want to make you choose between protecting your family or putting food on the table. That's why I'm going to give it to you at more than 98% discount of the $3,286 we could charge for it. Although I've seen similar programs going for that aren't half as complete as what we've put together here. At first, I thought seriously about charging $97 for this program, and my wife told me I was nuts. She said that we could cut half the material in this book and sell it for that price all day long. And she was right, but ultimately I decided against it. This is the reason why. Because I genuinely want other patriots out there to be able to help me rebuild this great nation with Christian values and principles when the time comes. I don't want my family to be literally the last people that are capable of rebuilding after the meltdown. That responsibility would be much too onerous for us, and we need a little help. That's why I want to make sure that it's at a price that's within the reach of the average American. If you agree to give the entire Systematic Survival Battle Plan package a test trial today, you're going to get the system along with all 7 high-quality bonuses for a single one-time payment of just $47. The bonuses alone made this a ridiculously cheap bargain, but this might not be available tomorrow, which is why you need to click on the Add to Cart button right now. And if that's not convincing enough, then here are testimonials from previous students. Army Ranger Stephen Thompson said, "Being an Army Ranger for the past 10 years, I've seen or been in most situations that both nature and mankind can throw at. That's why when my wife forced me to read this guide, I thought it was one of those generic books written by someone who didn't know what they were talking about. I'm so glad she forced me to, though, because the Systematic Survival Battle battle plan not only explained to me brand new and innovative techniques, it came with a step-by-step illustration and pictures that made it entirely foolproof. I highly recommend this to newbies or experienced survivalists. Jonathan Hobbs emailed me and said, "You saved my life. Seriously, if I hadn't read your guide and followed the steps that you recommended, then my family and I would probably be dead by now because of a camping trip that went wrong. Thank goodness I kept a copy of your guide in my phone. I was able to follow your wilderness survival strategies, and this not only helped me and my family hold out in comfort from a temporary shelter we built, according to your instructions, it also made the process of being rescued a walk in the park for the rescuers." On the next page, you'll complete your order. Your purchase is 100% secure and is encrypted with the latest 256-bit encryption protocol, which guarantees that your purchase is safe, secure, and most importantly, private. And remember, your trial purchase is backed by a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. If, for any reason, you feel that the Systematic Survival Battle Plan package isn't right for you, then all you need to do is send in an email and your money will be refunded in full. You see, once you completed your order, you'll get the email address of our dedicated 24-hour customer support team. And the only reason I can make you this risk-free offer is that I'm very confident you'll be absolutely thrilled by the secret you're about to learn. Click the Add to Cart button below this video so you can discover these incredible life-changing secrets right now. But you do need to act now. The window of opportunity to save your family and your country is rapidly closing. When we started watching this presentation, there were roughly 75 spots left. But since then, this website's digital download reporting software has recorded more than 50 transactions. This means that there are less than 25 spots available, and this web page will automatically be removed from the internet once all the spots are taken. This is why you must take action right now in order to secure access to this entire system and receive all the bonuses. You're looking at a one-of-a-kind comprehensive survival battle plan that will guarantee your family's future survival in every sense. And you won't just survive. No, I'm going to show you how to thrive and be one of the last surviving patriots that'll be around to rebuild this great nation after the imminent collapse that we both know is coming. Since you've watched this far, I know that you've got to start planning now to take the necessary steps to make sure your family is safe. You also know that you've got a complete, detailed, end-to-end system to literally follow blindly that's both field-tested and proven to work, literally staring you in the face. The way I see it, you've got essentially three choices, three possible paths you can take from here. Option one, you can do nothing. Shake your head and call me crazy. Close the page and forget you saw this video. Ignore the headlines you see in the news day after day, week after week, all pointing to the fact that something is about to happen. Sure, you could just pretend it's not true. Pretend that there's nothing to worry about, except that deep down you know that that's not right. And I know you know it, or you wouldn't still be here. See, the problem with that approach is that if that's what you decide to do, and it turns out you're wrong, then you're not only putting yourself in danger, you're going to be putting the lives of your most loved ones, your family, at risk too. Option two, you can admit that the collapse is coming, but decide you'd rather do your own thing. That means hundreds of hours worth of research, a lot of trial and error, a lot of winging it, and no blueprint to follow. No real guarantee that you didn't miss something in your planning. And of course, once the collapse happens, there's no time to make changes or corrections to your plan. At that point, it's already too late. The problem with this approach is that it's kind of like reinventing the wheel. Yeah, you could stubbornly refuse to acknowledge and accept that the wheel exists and spend a lot of time and money and effort to invent your own version of the wheel that might perhaps at best do the same thing. But really, what would be the point? Time is money, right? And your time is more valuable than that. So why would you want to waste it, feeling your way blindly toward a solution when you don't have to? All the hard work has already been done, and you get to reap the benefits. That's a win for you because you're getting a tried and tested blueprint for success. Honestly, ask yourself which you'd rather trust the safety of your family to. Something you blindly made on your own that's never been tested, or a ready-made blueprint that lays everything out for you in an organized, methodical way. I know which one I'd rather trust my family's safety with. That brings us to option number three. You could unlock your price of $47 by clicking the Add to Cart button and give this program an absolutely risk-free try. Read it over and get a feel for it. Use it as your blueprint and guide to formulate your own rock-solid, bulletproof survival plan. If you decide it's not for you, you get a complete and full refund, and even better, you get to keep the free bonuses we're offering with the Systematic Survival Battle Plan package. Simply click the Add to Cart button below and complete your checkout process. Remember, this is really a 60-day trial purchase, and it's absolutely risk-free. This website's records show that there are less than 7 spots left out of the 500 spots originally available. This presentation's being watched by 1,327 patriots right now. We expect the remaining 7 spots to be claimed within the next few minutes, if not sooner. So if you don't take action immediately, I can't promise that you'll be able to receive these secrets today. Click the Add to Cart button right now and give it a test drive for 60 days. You can even download and swipe the secrets and email me an hour from now and get a full refund. But I'm confident that you're going to absolutely be blown away by the secrets you're about to discover. By next next year, I guarantee that you're going to be looking back and congratulate yourself on making a good decision. Just imagine when there's chaos and riots and other people's children are crying because they haven't eaten in days, when people all around you are fighting and dying in the streets. You and your family will be safe and secure because you had the foresight to plan and act. You won't be simply surviving, you'll be thriving, and your family deserves that. All you need to do is click the Add to Cart button to get immediate access. Once you click that button below, you'll receive instant access to the guaranteed gas savers valued at $37, H2O hydrogen power valued at $177, USD dollar domino dominator valued at $77, Heat Holocaust survivor valued at $57, Frost Zone freedom fighter valued at $67, Doomsday self-defense tactics valued at $77, systematic survival battle plan audio course valued at $97, systematic survival battle plan video course valued at $197, along with the actual systematic survival battle plan complete guide valued at $2,500 a seat. Remember, that's more than $3,286 in value, and we're going to give it to you today for a single payment of just $47. Take action now while spots are still available and save your family. Whatever you choose, good luck and God bless. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. Wait, you're still here? Well, since you are, I'll go ahead and cover some of the frequently asked questions I've gotten in emails. Number one, Timothy, 43 from Nebraska, emailed us and asked, if all this survival stuff is so easy that it can fit into a single book, then why aren't more people doing it? First, understand that there's nothing easy about it. What Systematic Survival Battle Plan does is lays out the blueprint to maximize your chances of success. Following the blueprint's not hard, because we've taken such pains to make sure it's complete and foolproof in every way. But when the collapse happens, it's going to be hell on earth. The world as you know it will cease to exist overnight. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to describe what happens next as easy. Anybody who tells you that's lying to your face. No, it's going to be brutally hard, but you'll be ready for that, because you'll not only know what to expect, but how to deal with it when it comes. You'll have a battle-tested plan at your fingertips. As to why more people aren't doing it, honestly, it's because most people are too blind to see the writing on the wall. In this presentation, I listed out warning sign after warning sign, with actual cross-checkable references that our nation is under threat from all angles, including on the borders, within this nation itself, and also internationally. You see, there's no helping fools like those people. The best you can do is keep your family away from them. But the reality is that when the collapse happens, they won't last very long. Number two, Alex, 37 from New York, wrote in to ask, how long will this take? You can start applying what we teach you tonight. No joke. We've had students who studied it diligently and saw results within 24 hours. If you're a slow reader, it might take as long as a week to get the basics set up. But once you've got it, you've got it. You're ready for whatever comes next. Number three, Robert, 55 from Texas, wrote, but what if nothing happens? We created the Systematic Survival Battle Plan with survival in mind. Sure, but even if I'm wrong and nothing happens, you've gained a boatload of invaluable skills that no one can take away from you. After reading everything in this program, you'll be ready and more prepared for disaster, whatever form it should take, and whenever it should strike. Even better, you'll be free of the insidious government systems that secretly and quietly try to enslave you. The grid has wrapped its tentacles around you so slowly and so gently that you probably didn't even notice it. But now that you're aware of it, wouldn't it be great to be free of all that? Not to mention, you can still apply all the micro-farming techniques covered here to grow most, if not all of the food your family needs, which will save you thousands at the grocery store each year. Best of all, your family will be eating better than they ever have in their lives. And what's not to like about that? Number four, Taylor from Toronto asks, I don't have a lot of space. Will this work for me? Sure. It takes surprisingly little space to prepare a stockpile. You can work with what you have and expand as you're able. Even if you live in an apartment or condo, you can still put some of the micro-farming techniques into practice and grow an amazing amount of food in whatever space you've got. Number five, Darren, 52 from Alaska, wrote, I live in a cold state. Will this work for me? Absolutely. We've got a whole special section on growing food year-round, no matter what the climate. As to the survival stuff, it'll work any and everywhere. He also asked, can I really grow enough food to feed my entire family with this? We don't suggest that you rely on any one particular source of food, because if that source is gone, your family's exposed. That being said, the high-yield micro-farming techniques we cover in our program can definitely feed an entire family and more. Your diet will probably change some, but it'll change for the better, and you'll be eating good, wholesome food you grow yourself with minimal effort on your part once you've got everything all set up. Number 6, Keith, 26 from Australia, was wondering, will this work if I'm outside the U.S.? Even though we wrote the systematic survival battle plan with the U.S. in mind, the concepts here will work as well in any part of the world. Number 7, Sally, 42 from Houston, asked, is this really risk-free for 2 entire months? It absolutely is. We stand behind our product 100%, and we're so sure that you're going to love it that we're taking all the risk. You have none. Number 8, finally, Chris, 39 from California, wrote in and asked, what makes you think something bad will happen in the next 12 months? Well, everything I've exposed in this presentation is a fact that you can easily check for yourself. I even provided research references for you to verify yourself. You've seen the headlines. You watch the news. The U.S. body count just keeps getting higher week after week and month after month. Our enemies are circling like vultures, just waiting for an opportunity. We've had a constant barrage of terrorist attacks or attempts on U.S. soil since 9/11. They just keep coming. Even worse, we have a president in office now who doesn't seem to care and sometimes seems to actually be helping our enemies. Just keep an eye on the headlines. You can't miss it. The signs are everywhere. The pattern is unmistakable. But even if you don't believe that, you want to have insurance, right? So just consider this to be the cheapest and most comprehensive insurance policy you've ever invested in. Collapse is coming, and the U.S. government knows it. You think they don't? They're planning for survival, just not yours. They're planning for their own survival. So what about you? You'll be left on your own. If you make it, then chances are you're going to barely survive on the immediate aftermath. If you don't, well, too bad for you and your family, because Uncle Sam isn't coming to your rescue. They never were. And when it comes apart, FEMA might show up at your door, but not to help. They'll probably come to seize your stockpile or worse. So go on. Click the Add to Cart button below and let the systematic survival battle plan give you the peace of mind you and your family deserve. Thank you again for watching this presentation. This is Ronald Richards signing off.